So in this video, I'm going to show you step by step the framework for cold calling homeowners to set solar appointments, okay? Whether you have the $100 million cold call script or not, whether you have your own script or whether you don't have a script at all, this video is going to be very helpful for everybody in between on showing them how to guide a cold homeowner on the phone from intro and opener all the way to booking an appointment that has a high likelihood to show up, okay? Let's start off at the top. Right. Again, whether you're using a $100 million script or not, I'm going to talk about the principles and the framework of how to get someone from start to finish of booking with you. So let's start off with the most important part of the call. Okay. The most important part of the call, in my opinion, is the opener. It is the intro. It is that first 10 to 15 seconds of the call. It makes or break whether someone wants to stay on the phone with us, whether they want to give us their time, whether we've been able to pique their curiosity or not, right? If anything is done wrong in that first initial, again, 5 to 10 to 15 seconds, that homeowner is either A, hanging up on us, or B, they're sitting there with an attitude, right? So how we do this part, if done masterfully and if done intentionally and done correctly, we'll be able to really pique curiosity and have the homeowner inviting you to pitch them, right? That is a whole purpose of the intro, is to get permission to pitch. And what do I mean by permission to pitch? So anything that you're saying in this opening piece, guys, if the homeowner is going, who is this or what is this about? Where are you calling from again? Those are all things that's saying, I'm listening and I need to know more. That's basically what that means. So if you're not getting anyone to say, wait a minute, what is this about? Or why are you calling me, et cetera, then you don't have permission to then pitch that person. So just because that homeowner answers the phone doesn't mean we can go, hey man, this is Rich with ABC Solar Savings USA. And we noticed there was a bunch of rate hikes in the area. We're just calling to see if you had gotten a chance to get a quote for solar for your home yet. Way too much. I pitched on deaf ears. Homeowners not listening. I said way too much, right? So in the beginning, with your intros, keep them short, sweet. They need to pique curiosity. And no matter what you say in it, right, in case you're not using a $100 million cold call script, you need to be saying to them, you need to be getting from them, who is this? What is this about? How can you get the homeowner to ask you a question in that first 15 seconds of the call? Because once they ask you a question, they're not thinking about anything else. They want to know the answers. They want to hear you speak. You've gotten permission from them. They've asked you to now speak. At the intro and the opener, two things can only happen, right? Either we get a response or we get resistance. Resistance meaning basically an objection in some way, shape, or form. Either like, hey, nah, I don't have any time for any pitches. I don't know what you're selling, pal, but like I'm not interested. Doesn't matter, right? Anything that isn't a tell me more, who is this, what is it about, etc., is resistance. Doesn't matter. You should have a framework that you can follow on every single call that's the same. That in that intro and opener, like for us in the $100 million cold call script, no matter what they say, our next statement is very much the same, right? And so some of those highlighted statements are, hey, we want to remind them, man, I'm not here to sell you anything at all, right? It's just that my name's Rich. I'm calling in the Dallas City Utility Rebate Program. Again, man, I'm not here to sell you anything, and I know you're pressed for time right now, but I'm calling to see if you guys had gotten a chance to get a savings report for your home yet, right? I know you've seen our projects in the area, but did you guys get a chance to get a savings report for your home yet? And we want to mention their name and build that trust along the way as well, right? So one of three things happens after that initial response. We either get resistance again, some form of an objection. Hey, man, not interested. I got to go. I don't know what you're calling about, but not interested. We get, hey, what is this? Or what program are you talking about? Or if we're calling on a market that might be a little bit more solar heavy, they're going to be like, is this solar? Are you guys with that solar company again? So we expect one of those three things. And this framework gives us a game plan, a visual mind map of how we're going to approach basically every single possible scenario that we get on the phone, right? That's why this is such a good tool, whether you're a new person, seasoned person, or somewhere in between there, to train yourself and to have a familiarity on how to guide someone from no solar appointment to a solar appointment that is guaranteed to show up, okay? So again, let's assume that you're calling in a more saturated market. I really don't think any market is saturated, but just solar heavy, right? Maybe they get called and knocked off often. So everybody that you talk to on the phone is always like, man, is this solar? Are you calling about solar again? Perfect. Hey, I know you've been talked to by 100 people in the past. And the problem with solar was that it was super expensive. You had to put money down. You had to take out a loan, right? No one likes loans. And then you probably got trapped to that loan and you couldn't move for like 20 years, right? Well, our program is totally different, Mr. Homeowner, but you might not be a good fit for our program at all. By the way, man, how much are you typically paying for your power per month, right? So what we're doing in this is this solar responses. We're taking all the top objections that people in a saturated market who've been pitched often feel like they know about solar, and is probably the reason they didn't move before. They thought it was too expensive if they've been quoted before and didn't move forward. Assuming it wasn't any design issues, more than likely it was price, right? More than likely they got a loan back in the day, or they were pitched on a loan and not a PPA. And they're like, hey, we're going to only be in this house for another 3 or 4 years. Signing a 25-year loan on solar doesn't make a lot of sense. So long story short, in the is this solar response, we want to put in all of the objections that someone who's looked into solar before could possibly have and then didn't move forward, assuming, again, it wasn't like a roof or a home type issue, right? So next, let's take a look in the middle. If we get anyone who's like, hey, man, what program are you talking about? Like, what is this again? Perfect. Hey, first of all, not here to sell you anything again. Our program just helps reduce or eliminate the surcharges on the utility statements that a lot of homeowners in your area have experienced by switching over to some renewable energy solutions in our program. But hey, man, I don't want to waste your time. You might not be a good fit for solar at all. But by the way, how much are you typically paying for your power per month? I want you to notice that no matter what happens in a is this solar, or what program is this, or even an objection, we are armed with 2 statements, right? That we can do every single time. Guys, if you're not following a process that you can consistently do every single time in your sleep, right, then it's very hard to get consistent results if you're not doing consistent activities. So this is why not only having a script is important, but having a framework is important, so that you can know, okay, ideally I should go from A to B, but sometimes the homeowner is going to take you all over the world. And then what do you do in those moments when you have different types of homeowners who are making you kind of go all over the place? Well, having a system like this will definitely help you, or help your setters on the phone navigate these conversations more masterfully. Okay. So at any rate, we know, bam, if they mention solar, my setters know if they even say the word solar, we go to the saturated area response. If there's resistance, or if there's what program is this, our response is the same. The reason our response is the same is because we know more than likely this is a smoke screen. A person knows that they're obviously on a cold call, that there's a pitch is coming. So we need to remind them right off bat, hey, I'm not here to sell you anything at all, right? Our program, it just helps reduce or eliminate surcharges. It's basically here, this is like a savings call, not a sales call. I'm here to reduce those expenses, not increase those expenses, right? So we want to gain call control no matter what the homeowner says. And the way that we gain call control and keep call control is by being the one asking the questions more often at this part of the call, right? Which is why no matter what they say, we're ending both responses with, but you might not be a great fit. By the way, how much are you typically paying for power per month? And if you're brand new to solar, the reason that we're asking about that question is because that is where the pain lies. Not everybody that goes solar has a pain point around finances, but 90% of them do. And so we want to make sure that we can initiate a pain cycle, tap on a pain cycle, figure out a way to serve them. And again, most people, 98% of people, are going solar for some element of financial savings in some form or fashion. Okay, so only 2 things can happen from these responses. Again, either we get resistance or we get a response. Let's take a look at what they look like. So response back to these 2 questions can look like this. We here at Reven, with the $100 million cold call script, we go to our 2-condition policy once we get a response, positive response rather. That will basically be something along the lines of them answering how much they pay for power, right? If they go, nah, I pay $250, $300, whatever. If they answer how much are you typically paying for power per month, that is qualified as a response. Then we're going to go into an assumptive booking right after that. And I'm going to tell you what that looks like. However, if they give resistance at that point, we're going to go into a much different statement at that point. So let's assume we get the response and they say, yeah, man, I pay about $250. Perfect, Mr. Homeowner. Well, that is really high for the area, actually. But really quick, man, let me tell you about how our program works at a glance, just to make sure it's even like it even makes financial sense for you. So our program works in under 2 conditions. Condition number 1, there's no upfront cost to you. So, man, I'm never going to ask you for a check, a debit card, or a credit card, or anything like that, okay? Then condition number 2, Mr. Homeowner, it has to be cheaper than what you're currently paying now. So whatever you're paying now with your utility provider, it has to be cheaper than that. And again, at no upfront cost to you. And then we're going with an assumptive question. Does that make sense, Mr. Homeowner? Now, I just kind of gave you guys line by line what we say in our script at that point, and we end it with, does that make sense? And once they say yes, we don't ask them, okay, perfect. Well, did you want to go ahead and book an appointment with us? Did you want to go ahead and get a savings report? We assumptively go into booking them at that point. So again, if they say yes to the two conditions, this is how our program works. We keep it super simple. Boom, we go down here to assumptively book them. If we get resistance, we have a statement in our script that we use as well. Hey, man, again, not here to sell you anything. Our program exists because you and I, we don't have a choice but to pay our utility bills. We know that the rates have gone up exponentially. Again, man, the two conditions to our program is, A, it doesn't cost you anything up front. So you're not spending any money. You also don't have a choice but to pay that utility bill. The cool thing about our program, Mr. Homeowner, is if it does make sense for you, again, A, you don't pay anything, and then B, it has to be cheaper than what you're doing now. And I'm apologize if I didn't explain that before, but does that make sense? And then the second that he says yes, we're going to go back up here and redirect them to the assumptive booking part of the script right here. We'll go perfect. I'm glad. You know what? Again, if it doesn't make sense for everyone, but if it does make sense for you guys, there's no upfront cost to get a report from us or to have a consultation. And then again, if it does make sense after the consultation, you also will never pay any upfront fees. But you know what, Mr. Homeowner? I've actually got guys in your area all week. If we were able to drop off that report, would tomorrow or the day after be best for you? So cool. So again, we get that yes out of the rejection response. We pop right back up here. But let's assume they don't say yes to this and we get more resistance. At this point, we're going to go to kind of our last ditch effort, which is my my leads list. Take you off my list, objection handling techniques for phone sales, which goes along something along the lines of this. Hey, man, I understand if you're not interested, solar's not really a good fit for everybody. I'll go ahead and take you off my list if it doesn't make sense. But in order to take you off my list, I have to leave notes for my manager. By the way, I'm going to leave those notes down, then go ahead and remove it if it doesn't make sense. But what was the main reason you weren't interested in our program? So again, this is a last-ditch effort. I'm pretty much ready to let this person off the phone. You don't want to spend your time prospecting for solar, fighting everybody to listen to you, because if you have to fight for them to book, you have to fight for them to show up. And if you have to fight for them to show up, you have to fight to close them. If you fight to close them, you have to fight to keep them from canceling. So I find is on the phone, we have less chance of conveying that energy and trust because they can't see us. So fighting to get your point across is not something that you should do at this point of the call, okay? So at that point, you're either going to get a smoke screen or a valid reason. If a smoke screen, we're just going to throw a last Hail Mary up there and offer a phone consultation. If you were calling with the intent of an in-home visit, say, you know what, I'll go ahead and take you off my list. But by the way, because you do have higher bills in this area and we do have the data of so many people getting really high rate hikes, you know what, Mr. Homeowner, we could just also give you this information over the phone. We don't have to come to the home if that will work for you as well. Just thought I might throw that out there for you. And if they're like, hey, no thanks after that, cool, take them off your list, place them on the DNC, and then move on to the next. You want to talk to people who want to talk to you. You want to talk to people who have a pain point and who are agreeing to let you help them. It's really difficult to help someone who doesn't agree to let you help them, right? So find people who have a problem and who are willing to let you help them with that problem, and don't be a pest, a peddler. I hate how it's become like the thing with door to door, right? Anyways, if they have a valid reason, in the call, place them on the DNC, okay? If they're, man, you know what, we're about to move next month. We just put the house on the market, like whatever it is, right? If they have a valid reason in the call, place them on the DNC, and, truthfully, do not call them again. All right, so let's go back up. We passed the two conditions. Hey, Mr. Homeowner, two condition policy works like this. Condition number one, you don't pay anything up front. Condition number two, cheaper than what you're doing now. Does that make sense, Mr. Homeowner? And assume all they have to do is say yes. You don't say anything else. You move right into a assumptive booking process. Well, perfect. Again, I just want to remind you that there's no cost to get this report. And then again, if it does make sense for you, there's no cost for you to take advantage of our program either. So we'll never ask you for any cash, okay? You know what? By the way, I've got guys in the area all week. If we were to drop off that savings report for you, would tomorrow or the day after be best? And if it's morning, we're saying, hey, would to this evening or tomorrow be best? And then we want to throw out an early assumptive booking statement and then give them the opportunity to either write a book this early in the call or to give them us an objection. Now, even though we're booking this early in the call or starting the booking process, when we go through the qualifying questions is where we really want to start to build some rapport and to solidify the appointment. So at that point, if we go, hey, we got guys in the area all week, would tomorrow, the day after be best? And they go, hey, tomorrow, tomorrow evening will probably be best. Me and my wife are both free then. Perfect. We're going to start the booking process at that point, because the two conditions is so simple that a child can understand it. It's so simple. Every homeowner can understand it. You don't have to talk about inverters and shading and azimuth and all these. We got to get a drone and site survey and all this stuff. You need to keep it so super simple, because the more words that you use that a homeowner doesn't understand, they get further and further and further away from booking an appointment or purchasing solar with every single word that you say that they don't understand. When you keep it super simple, they can just get it. And if they can get it easily, they can actually trust that the thing that you're offering might actually be a value for them and something that they should take a look at. Okay. So keep that in mind. So at that point, we want to start the booking process. Next, we're going to talk about booking appointments that stick in the next video. And I'll talk to you guys about some pros of how to build rapport along the way, so that you can make sure that you're setting appointments with people who are definitely going to show up. I can't wait to dive into that one. I will see you guys in the next video.